good, YouTube boys? What's got? The game MJ became the Michael Jordan we know. So this is a video by Johnny Arnett. Yep, Johnny Arnett. I'm excited for this video because I have no clue what game he's talking about. And if you think you have a clue, early predictions, comment them down below. No cheating. I don't want to see no cheating in the comment section. Let's get right to it.
Like I earned my stripes in the third game. Milwaukee's always been a nemesis for Chicago.
Every time we played them, they beat us.
Who guessed the Bucks? Who guessed it?
They had Sidney Moncrief, who was the reigning defensive player of the year, and they had a tremendous defensive team.
I kind of thought I knew his potential because I had played against the best players in the NBA so far, the Magics and the Birds and the Dr. J and Kareem. And all of a sudden, this rookie comes into the NBA, and I watched the way he moved on the court and his instincts. I'm like, wow, that's going to be scary.
Bad. That's all that is.
When Michael Jordan was entering the NBA, just about everyone knew that he was going to be special. But as far as I can tell, only one man knew just how special, which is when the legendary head coach Bobby Knight said that Michael Jordan was the greatest player he had ever seen before he had even played his first game in the NBA.
Wow.
Obviously, not everyone was on board with that initial proclamation. Otherwise, MJ wouldn't have been taken third overall in the 1984 NBA draft. But still, that is a high selection relatively to most prospects, and people in Chicago believed they had plenty of reason to be optimistic. They witnessed him excel as a North Carolina Tar Heel. They saw him tear it up in the Olympic Games, and they even got to watch him play very well in the preseason. But even with that being said, there was still a general hesitancy from the fans to embrace him as a future all-time great, until they saw him have an epic performance in official NBA competition. In his regular season debut, MJ had a solid all-around game, but he was also quite inefficient, as he struggled to find the touch. In the contest, he had 16 points on 16 shots, but he also had 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and 4 blocks.
Ooh.
In his second game, he was solid, but pretty tame by his standards, as he scored 21 points, had 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, while making 8 of his 13 shots. At this point, the organization and the Chicago faithful knew they had a pretty quality player on their hands. But let's be real, neither of these first 2 games were the kind of performance that make you immediately jump to the conclusion that you may have drafted one of the greatest players ever.
And before we get into this video, I want to shout out the sponsor, 80stees.com. If you want to relive the good old days from the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s with shirts and just any type of apparel that you would like, hit the link down below in the description and use code Tori to support your favorite content creator. Haha.
And then, the third game of the regular season happened. It came on October 29th, 1984, in a home matchup against the Milwaukee Bucks. Now this Bucks team were no slouches. The season prior, they had the best defense in the entire league in terms of points allowed. They had won 50 games and they made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals before being eliminated by the eventual champion Boston Celtics. This season, they came back even stronger, as they were led by their trio of stars in Terry Cummings, Paul Pressey, and Sidney Moncrief. In the case of Moncrief, he was the league's reigning back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year winner, and tonight he had the assignment of guarding the rookie Michael Jordan. Now you need to understand, although Michael was already beloved by the fans in the Windy City, he was still finding his way. Many people at the time were still calling him Mike Jordan instead of Michael Jordan, and even his nicknames took some time to take shape, as he was often being referred to as Captain Marvel.
Jones tipped it out to Jordan. Down
What?
all the way. Basket, he put it in.
That's it. He turns it on and he becomes Captain Marvel. Slides down a lane, around, bangs.
Here's Jordan down the middle all the way.
And Captain Marvel comes back again, up, 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 and away.
This was a title that MJ really wasn't a fan of. But after this game, the fans and commentators would be willing to call Michael basically whatever he wanted. Early into the contest, Jordan's skills were on display, as he showed off his fantastic footwork and his mid-range artistry. He even showcased some of his tremendous finishing abilities around the rim. With that being said, he was playing within the flow of the offense, and nothing particularly explosive had taken place. The overwhelming talent of Milwaukee enabled the Bucks to get an early lead, and they would hold it through the vast majority of the game. Only moments into the fourth quarter, and the Bucks held a significant lead, 89-80. This was the moment where Michael Jordan would show just how special he really was. That beyond all of the crazy athleticism and dazzling plays, there was something more. There was a competitive fire, the heart of a champion, and a clutch gene capable of birthing a dynasty. Jordan proceeded to absolutely erupt as the crowd grew louder and louder with each clutch basket. The elite Milwaukee defense looked as if they were a junior varsity team trying to compete with a pro, as they had no answer whatsoever for this third game rookie. He hit a series of driving layups and difficult jumpers, and then, late in the game in a one-possession deficit, Jordan would hit an incredible shot through a triple team. And based on the reaction of the commentators and the crowd, you could tell that this was the moment where everyone began to realize the level of greatness that they were witnessing.
The Bulls have it. They can still tie it. Here's Moncrief, Jordan driving with. Oh! Unbelievable!
To me, this should be one of the most iconic plays of Michael Jordan's entire career, because this was arguably the first moment where Jordan set Chicago ablaze with excitement and wonder. This was the instant where he started to change the perception of an onlooking city, from tempering their expectations of a young man barely old enough
Third game?
to drink, to seeing him as a leader who could take their lowly organization to the promised land and deliver them a title. MJ wasn't even done. He continued to pour in baskets, and in that fourth quarter alone, he had 3 momentum-seizing and 1 plays. And on the final basket, he beautifully weaved through all 5 defenders on his way to score, capped off with his signature fist pump. He led his Bulls to victory over the heavily favored Bucks 116-110.
2 times all defensive player on that team too.
And incredibly, he scored 22 of his 37 points in the fourth quarter alone.
Bad.
Scoring 22 points in a game as a rookie is an amazing feat, but doing it in only the fourth quarter of your third game against one of the best teams in the league is basically unheard of.
In the 90s.
After this victory, the
Or
organization knew
This is the 80s, right? I'm tripping.
everything they needed to know about this young kid that they called Mike Jordan. If you ask me, this was the day that the GOAT truly arrived on the NBA scene. So now it's your turn. When do you think was the moment when people began to understand just how special Michael Jordan was going to be?
I thought he was going to show like a playoff series or something. I didn't think it was going to be like the third game of the season. But that's still fine with me. That's still tough, man. Because Sidney Moncrief was 2-time all defensive player. And I think Moncrief is also a player that Jordan said he liked, right? If I'm not mistaken. But there's a playlist on the screen if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like. Let's get this video to 150 likes in 24 hours. Y'all smash that like button on the puppeteer video. So I'm going to have the part 2 to that. I got y'all. And I hope y'all all have a blessed day.